What if I told you there was a biblical book so controversial, so mysterious, that it was literally erased from history? A text that talks about fallen angels, giants, and secrets humanity should never know. A book that was considered too dangerous to be included in the Bible. I'm talking about the Book of Enoch, one of the most intriguing and enigmatic works in all of sacred literature. But why was it banned? What was so threatening about its words that it was silenced for centuries? Since the earliest times of the Christian faith, the Book of Enoch provoked fear, fascination, and controversy. Some saw it as a divine revelation, others as a heresy that should never see the light of day. And perhaps most curious of all is the fact that, even after nearly 2,000 years of exclusion, this book continues to raise questions that the Church itself avoids answering. Could what is written in it change the way we understand heaven, angels, and God Himself? Have you heard of the vigilantes? According to the Book of Enoch, these were angels who came down to earth, fell in love with human women, and produced hybrid offspring, the giants known as Nephilim. A story so powerful that it echoes elsewhere in the Bible, but with details that seem to have been carefully erased. Stay with me until the end, because what you discover now may surprise you. Imagine for a moment a man who walked with God, who was taken to heaven without experiencing death, and who had access to secrets no other human being has ever known. This man was Enoch, and what he wrote, or rather, what they claim he wrote, describes a spiritual universe that goes far beyond what is taught in pulpits and catechisms. The Book of Enoch speaks of eternal punishments, celestial dimensions, cosmic battles, and a judgment that would involve even the angels themselves. But there is something even more disturbing. For centuries, copies of this book disappeared completely from the West. Only in one ancient African country, Ethiopia, did the text survive, guarded by monks who considered it sacred. When European scholars finally rediscovered it, they were shocked. Many realized that passages from New Testament made direct references to this forgotten book, including the book itself, Apostle Judas, who mentions him in his epistle. Then the inevitable question arises: if the New Testament recognizes Enoch, why isn't he in the Bible? The answers, it seems, are linked to decisions made by religious leaders and councils in antiquity, which determined which text should or should not be considered inspired by God. Enoch apparently didn't fit the mold. His descriptions of rebellious angels and divine judgments were too intense, too dangerous. And so, the book was condemned to oblivion. But was it really forgotten? Or just hidden? Today, with the advancement of archaeological discoveries, manuscripts of the Dead Sea, new translations, the Book of Enoch is coming back to the surface, and with it, mysteries that challenge everything we believe about good, evil, and the destiny of humanity. What was so forbidden within its pages? Why did this book so trouble the powerful of faith? And most importantly, what can it reveal to us about the end times? These are questions that cannot be ignored. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Perhaps what is most frightening about the Book of Enoch, it's not the content itself, but what it awakens in those who read it, the sense that there is much more hidden behind the official history of faith. Each line seems to reveal fragments of an ancient truth, a truth that has traversed time and been silenced. And when we begin to understand this, it's impossible not to feel a mixture of curiosity and unease. After all, how many other texts, how many other secrets have been erased from collective memory so that only one version of the truth remains? If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what's touched you most. So far it could be a question, an opinion, or even a feeling. It's from this exchange that the deepest reflections emerge, and I enjoy reading everyone's insights on this type of topic. Your participation here is what keeps this journey alive and makes the channel grow, reaching more people who also seek to understand what's between the lines of Scripture. So if you want to continue delving with me into these forgotten mysteries, please like and subscribe. It's a simple gesture, but it has a huge impact. It helps this content reach those who might be looking for exactly these kinds of answers. Because, at the end of the day, we're all trying to understand a little more about what lies beyond what we've been taught. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Enoch was no ordinary man. Scripture says he walked with God and was taken up without seeing death. A short phrase, but one that holds one of the greatest mysteries in all of biblical history. Unlike any other character, Enoch did not experience the end of life as we know it. He simply disappeared. He was taken from earth, taken to another plane. And it is precisely this detail that arouses so much curiosity. After all, what was so special about him that he was chosen this way? Enoch lived before the flood, at a time when humanity was still in its infancy. And yet he already stood out as someone with a spiritual authority unusual. He wasn't just any prophet. He was Noah's great-grandfather, the man God would use to restart humanity. This makes the story of Enoch a kind of missing link, the point where heaven and earth seem to touch most closely. And this is where the modern mindset needs to take a step back and look at this narrative with fresh eyes. Because when an ancient text speaks of someone who walked with God, it may not simply be describing a spiritual metaphor, but rather a real, direct, transformative encounter. An encounter that transcends the boundaries of faith and human understanding. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because to understand who Enoch was is also to understand what he saw, what he witnessed, and why his words were considered too dangerous to remain in Scripture. Comment here. That makes sense to me. What's most striking about the Book of Enoch is realizing that it doesn't just tell ancient stories. It draws us into a universe where the line between the sacred and the forbidden is blurred. Imagine angels falling, not just through disobedience, but through choices that reveal hidden desires and flaws, generating unimaginable consequences on earth. And from these forbidden encounters, giants are born, beings carrying the strength and impact that transcend the human world, leaving trails of mystery that still defy our understanding. The book leads us to explore the secrets of heaven, revealing behind-the-scenes details of creation that seem to contradict everything we've been taught about celestial perfection, and also of hell, where punishments and judgments are described in a way that stirs the mind and questions our own perception of justice. Each page is a journey, an invitation to reflect on decisions that echo beyond time, on the mindset of beings who coexist between light and shadow, and on hidden truths that seem to beg to be discovered. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, analyzing how these accounts shape our understanding of morality and power, and how they challenge everything we believe to be immutable in the universe. Comment. That makes sense to me. What makes the Book of Enoch even more fascinating is how it clashed with the authority of the early church. Its pages not only revealed forbidden stories, but also challenged established interpretations, offering a vision of the cosmos and morality that seemed to defy centuries of doctrine. It's as if each account of fallen angels or giants born of transgression cast a shadow over the official narrative, exposing gaps and revealing what many considered heresy. The fear of theological confusion was not without reason. Accepting these hidden truths could completely transform one's mindset about heaven, hell, and even human nature itself. And it is precisely in this conflict between authority and censorship that the inner workings of religious power are revealed, showing how bold ideas are often silenced, not because of what they teach, but because of the impact they have on the world's perception. Now delving into this context, we begin to understand how these controversies shape not only the reception of the book, but also the way faith itself was interpreted, creating tensions between revelations and dogma, between freedom of thought and control. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. What few people know is that the exclusion of the Book of Enoch was not an isolated act, but part of a complex process of defining what we now call the biblical canon. For centuries, different communities debating which texts were official or authentic faced dilemmas regarding authority, tradition, and spiritual impact. Enoch, with his revelations about angels, giants, and celestial secrets, aroused fascination but also fear. His ideas could transform the way people understood creation, divine justice, and the celestial hierarchy itself. In the 4th century, at the Council of Laodicea, it was decided that the book would be banned, classified as suspected of heresy, and therefore incompatible with the official narrative. This episode reveals the behind-the-scenes historical decisions that shaped not only religion, but also the very mindset of thousands of believers over the centuries, demonstrating the impact that control of information has on history and the way we interpret hidden truths. Now, reflecting on this choice and its weight, we begin to realize the layers of censorship, power, and influence that surround each decision to include or exclude a text, and how this still resonates with our ideas about faith and authority. Comment: that makes sense to me. What truly captures the attention in the Book of Enoch are the passages about the Watchers, angels who chose to break sacred rules and walk forbidden paths. They are not merely symbolic figures. Their choices bring terrifying consequences, shaping destinies and creating a tension between heaven and earth that borders on the unimaginable. There are accounts of how they taught secrets humans should never know, knowledge that stirs the mind and arouses both fascination and fear. The punishment they receive is described in chilling detail: underground prisons, eternal chains, and judgments that echo through time, a justice that transcends all human logic. Some passages suggest that these events had a direct impact on humanity, changing mindsets and opening doors to dark transformations. Each description is an invitation to reflect on limits, choices, and consequences, as if each word were a warning spanning centuries. Now, exploring these passages further, we begin to realize how much fear and mystery were used to imprint themselves on readers' minds, shaping a perception of power and transgression that still defies our understanding today. Comment: I'm on that journey too. The rediscovery of the Book of Enoch in recent centuries has brought a new dimension to everything previously considered forbidden or lost. Complete manuscripts found in Ethiopia and fragments in the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran have opened doors for scholars to revisit these narratives, now with modern tools of archaeology and textual criticism. Theologians and historians have begun to realize that what was once labeled heresy holds surprising insights into the ancient vision of the cosmos, celestial hierarchies, and morality itself. It's fascinating to think that, centuries after their banishment, these words still resonate, questioning mindsets and challenging established authorities, demonstrating that some truths cannot be completely erased. Each recovered fragment is a piece of a puzzle that reveals the hidden depths of early faith and decisions that shaped religious history, inviting us to reflect on decisions, limits, and power. Now, understanding this rediscovery, we begin to understand how the Book of Enoch influences modern debates and sparks curiosity about secrets that history has tried to hide. Right there, I'm on this journey too. What makes the Book of Enoch even more intriguing is how its prophecies seem to directly dialogue with John's revelation, creating a connection many considered impossible for centuries. Fallen angels, eternal judgments, and mysterious signs in the sky resonate with images that later appear in the biblical book of Revelation. As if Enoch had anticipated a vision of the end times, this overlapping narratives reveals a hidden truth about how ancient traditions intertwine, demonstrating a continuity that defies simplistic interpretations. By comparing these passages, a broader perspective begins to emerge on divine decisions, consequences, and the impact such events could have on humanity, prompting reflections on destiny, morality, and the journey of good versus evil. Now, exploring these prophecies in detail, we realize layers of meaning that can still transform our understanding of signs, authority, and revelation, demonstrating that what seemed like legend holds lessons and mysteries deeply connected to the fabric of faith itself. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. When we begin to reflect on what the Book of Enoch reveals to us, a disturbing question arises. If such a powerful text was removed and deemed centuries ago, what other truths might have been hidden from humanity? Each chapter, each passage about angels, giants, and eternal judgments forces us to reconsider what we believe to be the complete story, the absolute truth, or the unquestionable authority of official narratives. It's impossible to ignore the impact this has had on how we think about morality, power, and knowledge. The silence surrounding this book, the fear of heresy, and the censorship that surrounded it. Leave clues about decisions that shape the collective mindset and about how access to information can transform our worldview. Now delving deeper into this mystery, we begin to realize that the Book of Enoch is not just a reliquary of ancient stories, but an invitation to question, investigate, and connect secrets of the past with our own journey of discovery and awareness. Write it down. This makes sense to me. When we look at everything we've explored about the Book of Enoch, it's impossible not to feel we're faced with something that challenges our perception of the sacred and the forbidden. Every revealed secret, every fallen angel, every prophecy connected to Revelation forces us to question not only what was written, but also what was deliberately hidden, censored, or reinterpreted over the centuries. It's a reflection on choices, power, and the consequences of concealing knowledge that could transform mindsets and reveal profound truths about creation and the human journey. Given this, a direct provocation arises. Do you believe the Book of Enoch should be returned to the Bible? It's a question that seeks not just an opinion, but also a reflection on authority, freedom, and how we interpret the divine. Now bringing this provocation to the present, we begin to realize that our own decisions about faith, curiosity, and inquiry have the power to rescue or silence ancient revelations. Comment: I'm on this journey too, if you've made it this far. You've noticed how every detail in the Book of Enoch leads us to question, reflect, and see layers of history that often go unnoticed. If this content brought you new perspectives or sparked your curiosity, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring these journeys of discovery together. And if you want to show me you've stuck with me until the end, comment: I'm with you until the end. I love seeing people connect with these reflections. Also, take a moment and leave a like, which is a simple way to acknowledge the connection we've created throughout the video. There's a video here that complements this topic. Click and stay with me there, because there are still many hidden truths and fascinating stories to discover together.